we can look at taxation and job increases. I propose a progressive tax structure that is first committed not to tax anyone below subsistence, or below $35,000 a year for a small family. Above subsistence, the tax rate gets higher within the progressively higher segments of income, as shown in the table. I also show the average tax rate within each segment of income and the total income for that segment. This tax chart raises $1.63 trillion in income tax revenues while helping to create better cash flow in the low to middle ranges. Employment increases and wage increases at the lower end of the economy help the economy more than anything else. I'll show you why with a typical business transaction. When one buys goods and services at a business, they use the money received for 4 different things. There are wages for employees, there's an overhead, there's some product replacement or supply purchases, and then there's savings. I've broken the 4 items into percentages of the incoming dollar as 30, 30, 30, and 10 to add up to 100% or $1. Notice that only a dime goes into savings while 90 cents goes to other businesses through employee purchases, replacement goods at another company, electric and telephone companies, and rent recipient companies. All these companies have employees, overhead, supplies, and savings also. How the second set of companies spends the dwindling part of this original dollar has to be counted as business, and each successive expenditure ad infinitum until the round off becomes 0, as in 0.4 cents. The big picture of the rippling of the dollar looks like this, and when one counts up the totals in wages, goods and services, replacement goods, overhead, and savings that must be counted at each business, the total comes to $4.61 of business created from the original dollar. A very important part of this multiplicative drive on the economy is determined by the propensity to spend. Think of this as what percent of wages go into spending in the marketplace. If the low end of the economy is close to living hand to mouth, and their withholding and Social Security deductions are minimized, they will have close to unity propensity to spend. Their wage times this percentage yields the input dollar. Dollar for dollar with wage, when they spend all of their take-home and little is removed. The high end has a vastly greater income with higher taxes and doesn't need more toys. They save and invest a lot, so 20 to 40% of their gross income before taxes may be spendable. Dollar for dollar of income then gives the low end of the wage earners 3 times the drive on the economy than dollars earned at the top. The multiplier ensures creation of the jobs needed to pull us out of our depression. It doesn't work to give more money to the rich end, as in Reagan, Bush, Obama. Nor is increased spending in defense good for the economy or for the people's peace. So decreasing military spending, reverting to higher taxes for the rich, including the assumption of most Social Security and Medicare dollars needed, gives the U.S. a chance to recover while noticeably improving the lot of the average Joe. Going back to our tax table, we may expand the view and show the tax rate for the different increments of income, the curve of taxes versus income, and the extra fixed percentage need to fund the worker's share of Social Security and Medicare when there's a 1/3, 2/3 split between industry and workers for this funding. 8% of total income above the $35,000 subsistence threshold funds the worker's share of Social Security and Medicare, while industry provides half that amount. The new total average tax rate per total income bracket may be shown in a smaller table for easier digestion. If we plot an income curve for all Americans from the lowest income to the highest over the entire working population, it would look like the black line on this plot. If we superimpose a subsistence budget in light blue, allowing the wealthier in a higher subsistence level, that curve would look like this. The difference between earnings and subsistence either shows a deficit, the red part, or a surplus, the darker blue part. I call this curve the reality check curve. People below subsistence from 55% down, shown in red, need government assistance by the current system to make ends meet, while the dark blue part of the curve above the 55% point shows a population segment with savings and investment opportunities and/or luxury product purchase options. The total deficit for the poor is about 700 billion, while the surplus for the upper half is about 3.7 trillion. I would like to see the welfare reduced and the income of Americans raised at the lower end with the provision of more and better life-sustaining jobs. This curve shows what adjustments could be made to better drive the economy and restore the middle class. I propose a wage bond that covers the increased wages with participating companies and tracks the increase in productivity and company income attributed to this infusion of labor. Each year, the share of increased business across all companies attributable to these employment and wage increases would return to the wage bond office for distribution to bondholders. People in the top 25% of income would be required to participate or be directly taxed for the same amount with no earnings. This is where the investment of $1 trillion should return $700 billion to bondholders each year.